Okay, go live right now. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley of the Underground Railroad Television Show in Chicago. And you know what? I this is going to, I've had a Republican on to speak, and we have a Democrat on, a supporter of Kamala Harris, and he has his own organization, and I'm very much looking forward to that he was consented to be on the Underground Railroad podcast in Chicago. And what I'm going to do is, before I get started, it's going to be a little intro I'm going to play. Okay.
President Donald Trump says he has agreed to 3 debates with Vice President Kamala Harris. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more as the battle for the Midwest continues.
After days off the campaign trail and out of the public eye, former President Donald Trump holding a rare press conference from Mar-a-Lago claiming he's agreed to 3 debates with Vice President Kamala Harris, including one hosted by ABC News.
I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them.
Trump then going after Harris and her new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
We have somebody that hasn't received 1 vote for president, and she's running. And that's fine with me. But we were given Joe Biden, and now we're given somebody else. And I think, frankly, I'd rather be running against somebody else. But that was their choice. They decided to do that because Kamala's record is horrible.
Meantime, Harris and Walz still on the campaign trail, postponing events in North Carolina and Georgia because of Tropical Storm Debbie, but holding another event today in must-win Michigan. In front of a packed house of 15,000 supporters last night in Detroit, Harris facing her first handful of protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza since she became the Democratic nominee. The vice president responding.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Harris and Walz will continue their introductory tour with a rally tomorrow in Phoenix and then Saturday in Las Vegas. Trump has a rally planned for this weekend in Montana. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. And with no further ado, I have a Democrat that is a strong reporter. Supporter of Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. And his name Eric Engelman. And Eric, tell us something about yourself real quick. And thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the Underground Railroad TV and podcast in Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifton. Let me set the record on a couple things. All right, so the name is Brian Engelman. Brian, I think you said Eric, and you said Democrat, not a Democrat. I was there with a man named Blake Wally, who was a former Democrat. So let me reset everything as clear as possible. And thank you for the invitation today. I enjoyed our talk the first time, and I'm sure this will be good as well. So my name is Brian Engelman, and I'm the creator of the New American Media. It's a media company that I started more than 13 years ago. I've always been interested in journalism, but I've started to realize that what I was getting, there's a famous quote that says, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. But if you do watch the news, you're misinformed. So that's why I started the New American Media, because I was getting tired of being lied to. I'm the host of 2 podcasts called the Agree to Disagree Show and the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. So I was in Chicago. And I had also been to, this was in Chicago for the Democratic Convention, going on the streets and talking to human beings and finding out what the zeitgeist, the mood or feeling of the times are. But we also went to the Milwaukee Convention for the Republicans. We went to Washington, D.C. for the Libertarian Convention. And we were in the Bronx the day before that, where President Trump went to a place, the Bronx, that nobody seems to ever care about. No presidents ever came to talk here. And the issues with illegal immigrants, with the crime, with all of the same things that you hear the MAGA crowd talking about, that's what the Dominicans were telling me in the Bronx. That's what the African-American community was telling me in the Bronx. That's what the white people in the Bronx were telling me. People were concerned about the same things that Donald Trump seems to care about. That was my experience there. But yeah, so I met Clifton, Raheem Bradley outside of a Cubs game because I do a sports show and I do the Agree to Disagree show. And we sat down and had a good conversation about the 2024 election. And we're continuing it today. So thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it. And by the way, as you introduced me as Eric, and I'm looking, I'm still, see, I have notes here. I'm going, okay, what is it? Clifton. Clifton. Yes. I want to get this straight. But in the pre-show, Clifton's like, hopefully this is the beginning of a good conversation and a relationship. I said, I think it might be. So we'll iron these kinks out.
And you know what? It's all about collaboration and networking. And thank you. And you know what? I want to ask you are a vice president. I have to give her due respect. A Kamala Harris supporter. And what is it about Kamala Harris and the reasons that you have decided to support her over former President Donald Trump or Cornel West? What is the reasons?
No, I would love to play along with that question, but no, I am the exact opposite. No, I'm the exact opposite. It's 100% MAGA this election season for me. 100%. I was thinking right there, like, how could I play it off and pretend to support? Oh no, let me try it. Let me try to actually do that. Alternate universe bizarro Brian Engelman. This year I'm supporting Kamala Harris. She represents so many great things to me personally. Her job as border czar, I felt, was A+. Fantastically created. I think the execution of just a sound policy to filter out the most dangerous elements of anybody coming into your community was so properly handled by Kamala that I think we should all support her and give her the keys to the kingdom for 4 years. I think she's earned it. So that's what I would say if I were doing the exact opposite of how I feel.
Yes, sir. My co-host is here. He has his own show. I'm all about networking now. So brief introduction of you, and then we're going to get to the guest. He is. Okay? Go ahead, Johnny.
Hey, greetings. I'm Prophet Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm Prophet Johnson. I am the host of Truth and Conversation. I upload usually every week, close to 10 o'clock on Sundays. So I have actually 2 channels. I have Truth and Conversation, then I have the Joyful Sound Truth and Conversation. So my one channel, I am teaching and preaching the Word of God. On the other one, I am supporting the Word of God with content that supports the building blocks of community, which is male-female relationships.
Okay. Now we're going to get on down to the workshop and get on down.
So tune in.
We're going to concentrate our efforts on the guests because it's all about you.
Appreciate that. But really, so it's Truth and Conversation. What was your name again? You said Prophet
Johnson.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to keep my names organized here because you meet someone, you hear the name first time, and then it bounces away. But nice to meet you. I'm Brian Engelman. Happy to be here.
And talking about politics, I would like to ask you. I have to go on abortion. Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, is a supporter of the rights of a lady to abort, to get rid of a baby,
a woman.
Now I'm asking this question. Now you're gonna ask a question. Let's get rid of this ladies that are holding babies in their womb, and she supports that. Are you in compliance with that because you're a Kamala Harris supporter, and why?
No, like I said, no. I'm 100% Team MAGA. This time.
Okay. I thought you was a Democrat. Okay.
No. We're to separate it out. There would be no misconstruing anything that I say that overlaps with almost anything the Democrats have to say ever. But I will say abortion might be the one place where I could at least understand where they're coming from. If somebody finds himself in a situation and they create a child and it's early on and they say, I'm not ready for this, starting like this isn't, I can understand. I've had lots of conversations. I get where people are coming from, and I've heard many smart people say the following: look, on the issue of abortion, maybe I'll just sit this one out and let the ladies figure it out. Ladies, make your decision. Like you have to figure out what the policy is. I don't fully buy into that completely, because I think the end of the, hey, let's allow any sort of abortion, it turns into a if you read the stories and understand what's happening, it gets dangerously close to orchestrated human sacrifice. 9 months in, and the parts are being separated and sold for profit. And it's an entire machine that I want us to open up and understand the mechanisms of what's actually happening at the back end of this process. So I'm fairly libertarian on the topic. I mean, I'm a guy, so I would never have to have a procedure like that on me. So I just kind of don't get into it too angry pro-life or too angry everybody should abort everything always. You know, I see it as something that now that it's on a state level, something that it should be. I don't think many states are going to actually overturn it. There will be a couple. And that's what America was supposed to be, a loose conglomeration of 50 different places.
Yes.
And you have an umbrella that just says, look, we have some general oversight here. We're going to do freeway systems and military. And, you know, there's going to be, we're together, but we're different theme parks. We were not all exactly Six Flags or Walt Disney World or Cedar Point, America's greatest roller coaster park up by Sandusky, Ohio. But you're supposed to have, the Mormons can do their thing in Utah, and California can do their thing in California. And so the fact that this is a state's issue now, under the umbrella of what the country's supposed to be doing with civil liberties, I think it's the right way to do it, and let the states figure it out amongst themselves. That's my take on it. It's not an issue I'm particularly passionate about. I think it should be available in reasonable conditions, with reasonable parameters. And I know there's no reasonability when you can end a human life. I respect the pro-life stance completely. I've been there hardcore myself in the past, and then I've had more conversations and I've changed how I feel about that. So I respect what's going on the issue, but I don't yell about it very often because I don't think I have much to contribute.
Okay. Go ahead, Johnny. You got a question for me? I got plenty of questions for you. But go ahead, Johnny. I mean, do you want me to go to
be honest, a lot of my questions well, I just saying a lot of my questions, I guess, I mean, I'm looking at the title. I'm thinking I'm coming on and speaking with someone regarding their Democratic perspective.
I thought he was a Democrat.
So I got to recalibrate.
Well, I asked the next question. Okay, when you ready, my next question is that Vice President Kamala Harris thinks that it is okay for a woman to abort. That is their right. That is their. But you know what? As a journalist, do you consider that murder when a lady gets rid of a child? So if both of you gentlemen had a wife and I shot your wives and that baby died, I would get a double murder. Do you consider that murder? If that lady
not with me,
choose to abort, if both of y'all, not both of y'all, I'm interviewing him. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
No,
to the guest.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I hear that argument, and I can appreciate where that's coming from. I get that, and I think George Floyd was convicted of holding a gun to a pregnant lady's belly. I believe that was one of the accusations in that case as well. I have respect for both perspectives on this issue. Like I said, there are sometimes I jump into the arena and it's like WWE, it's a battle royal. There's 40 people in the ring and you're coming down off the top ropes with elbows. You're swinging and you're running, you're lifting, you're punching. Then there's some that you kind of peel back to, like you watch it on the sides and you try to understand it. I more try to understand this issue as opposed to taking hardline stances, I guess.
You seem to be taking a middle ground, and there's life involved.
I think America needs more babies. I think what President Trump is doing to in vitro, that's a different subject in itself. We could go down the rabbit hole, but I think the statement that Trump got to recently was America needs more babies. Elon Musk has been saying this country needs more American babies. Like, we don't have a replacement rate in our country. We're going to have problems down the road if we're not creating more humans. And over the past 20, 30 years, where this topic has become so prevalent,
Yes.
and we've seen a drastic drop off in the creation of families. Some of that is because of the availability and the removing the stigma and the shame of going through an abortion to the point where you're marching and you have signs that you're happy about it, whatever that's about.
Yes.
But it's a far cry from actually getting families together and kind of doing what the human component, the human element, what societies need. You need a future generation coming up.
Yeah.
But I can't blame all of that because abortions are legal. I look at it and just say, well, nobody can afford a house, one person to stay home and watch the kids. Honey, I'll go out and take care of the world, and I'll bring in $500,000 this year, and it'll be super easy for us to raise this family. There are monetary concerns, and that gets more to the Federal Reserve banking cartel, figuring out why they've devalued our dollar by 98% since 1913 on Jekyll Island. So, there's a lot of reasons why we don't have the right replacement rate of birth in this country, but I think it's a topic worth talking about. I'd rather we have more children that we create, and I'd rather we get rid of fewer that we create without a plan. So I think a lot of that is coaching young kids to just, there's behavior paths that will take you to success, and there's behavior paths that will slide you into really dark times, problems, health issues, financial issues. I think a lot of the coaching has been lost because I think our education system has been perverted on a scale that's probably one of the main reasons why we're getting so many things wrong politically as a nation.
It's ridiculous, the educational system, where they're actually grading kids on a curve because they don't want to hurt their feelings. But go ahead, Johnny.
I mean, given the I don't know, the setup here, have we've changed, I guess, the tenure of this conversation, and that we're not talking to a Democrat. I feel like I need to kind of like comment rather than question.
No, but
So
I would say this, regardless of any confusion off the top, we're just in a conversation talking about it.
No comment, because you know what? When I have a guest on and the questions are not being directed towards him, I'm doing this to me. I'm doing a disservice to the guest, and that's not right. It's not.
All right,
but I mean, if you don't,
I'm trying to think of some questions, but okay. Fine. It's just that I probably have less questions, but I think I do have a question about.
I got a ton of questions.
Well, I mean, actually, I do have a question, right? This, as you were speaking, it occurred to me. Now, my channel is about male-female relationships, and my position is that everything is about community.
Hold on, I gotta say one thing. It's about him. It's not about us. It's about him. We concentrate.
I get that.
Okay.
I get that.
Okay.
So to me, it's about community. So where's the community when you make a unilateral decision to abort a child that you didn't create by yourself?
I think community is sorely lacking these days. How many neighbors do you actually know? I think community is just a mess right now. And now BlackRock's gone through and bought up percentages of every neighborhood. It's a permanent renter class. You're in a neighborhood, you're supposed to know your neighbors. You grow up with them. Oh, yeah, my kid went to school with his kid 40 years ago. Community doesn't mean community anymore. So, I mean, we're fractured and splintered. It's like you dump a bag of Skittles onto the table, and you just have to move the colors into their own. All right, you're green, you're blue, you're yellow, you're purple, whatever. Like I said, we're all buried in a device. We don't have community like we used to. We can. It takes work, it takes effort, and it takes a willingness to want to build community. It's an effort to.
So if I were married and I and my wife were expecting our first child, and she woke up one day and felt like I don't feel like having a child in the next coming months, and she decided to go out and get an abortion. And after getting the abortion, she let me know, or let's say she talked to me and told me, "Well, I've decided to get an abortion." I mean, do you think that?
I've heard those stories, and I think that's tough. I've heard stuff like that from guys' perspective that don't get a choice, and it's the lady's body; she gets her choice. But it's awful. Like anytime one person is really uncomfortable with the decision that they both created, it's heartbreaking. It's sad. It tears at the soul.
So does that pregnancy have anything to do with the man's body?
Yeah, it's half. Like they created something together, but she's 100% responsible for delivering. It's I don't know. I wish we could teach our kids to be more careful in what the actions they're involved with, to prevent things that don't end up in a positive way. I think if we start early in that community, teaching the right morals and the right expectations and the right risk factors, like you can only roll the dice so many times in a game of Russian roulette. You will eventually lose if you keep making poor, risky decisions. And so I think focusing on eliminating risky decisions, I think that's a great starting point for that. Yeah, that's
so.
Awesome.
I mean, do you believe that husband and wife is a community?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That wasn't like
a sacred bond.
Are you married? Are you married?
Yeah. I am not betrothed. I don't have a betrothed. Am I saying that right? I'm not married.
Okay.
Shifting to immigration. Does it bother you that there are immigrants that are coming into the United States of America through the Texas borders to sanctuary cities, and they're staying in luxury hotels, but you have veterans that are sleeping up underneath bridges? And if Kamala Harris is supposed to be the border czar, does that bother you? Is that an issue from your perspective?
I lived in Los Angeles for a while when I created the New American Media, and we went to the steps of City Hall. We had a big rally about the homeless. And there were people that were building these little individual trailers that it had a locking door to keep you safe at night. It would give you a safe place to sleep off the streets, off the ground, off the cold. And the Veterans Administration, the VA, they have property, a really nice property in a nice part of Los Angeles, but all the homeless issue everywhere in the city. And it's like the resources that are available, a community should be built here for people to live.
Okay.
And I think using resources appropriately is one of the most important things that we should be doing. If you're on a battlefield, it's called triage in the medical realm. If somebody is too far gone, or if they are gone, you cannot put your attention on them. You have to help the people that need quick attention to save them instantly, right now. You have to prioritize on the back. Oh, you broke your finger, buddy, get in the back of the line. I'll see you in a week. I have real things to deal with here. And bringing people into this country, allowing the back door open to anything without filtering for the most obvious toxic things that should be kept out of the country. it defies logic. I've been a concert promoter in many different capacities.
Yes.
And when you have a facility, you make sure the doors are locked.
Yeah.
And you make sure that there is one funnel point where everybody who wants to go in there has to stop here.
Yes.
So you pay a guy, a large guy. We called him Mufasa. Dude was awesome.
Yes.
And Eric, he was our bouncer down in Long Beach. Love that guy.
I love Long Beach.
Dude, Mufasa with these big dreads, teddy bear. But I'll tell you what, he was a lion. You better not. Yeah. And so first thing in the club, there is a law enforcement mechanism that reminds you, oh, this ain't the type of place to F around. I don't want to come in here and be disrespectful and be foolish and start messing around with this place and the people inside of here. You got to set the right expectations right off the bat. That is a presence. I don't just waltz into other countries. I show paperwork. I do the song and dance. That's what you need to do when you come here.
Yes.
So on a promoter level, I don't understand it. On a toxins in your drinking supply of water level, you filter out the most toxic people first. If you want to have a workforce and you want to allow people in on some sort of pathway to learn the language, to understand the history of the country, and that's a tricky one because there is no history and it's all wrong and it's all right, but none of it makes sense. But to actually understand our civil liberties and agree that this is a place where we're supposed, like, you got to kind of take someone through a multi-year college degree to say, these are the expectations that are required inside my nightclub. The United States is my nightclub. Here are the rules. I have them posted at the door. If you act a fool, you can get out of here right now. You can get out of here right now. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. You have all of the rules clearly listed. So we're not helping our veterans. We're not prioritizing money being spent the right way. We're helping people that are sneaking in the back door. They're bringing in their own bottles of booze and getting wasted. They're peeing all over the rug in the VIP section. Nobody's paying attention. They're in the back door doing all of these things, and you're trying to run a club, and they're screwing it up for everybody else. When I went to the Bronx and I covered the Trump speech, the residents of the Bronx were furious that they're limited funds. They're going, I got $50. I'm on a limited budget. I get this much per month to eat. I go to the bodega. I come home with 4 things. 4 things. I got this. I got that. I got 4 things. I can't eat. And these people that snuck into the country are living in a 4-star hotel. They're getting gift cards. You're telling me you're giving thousands of dollars in gifts to someone that snuck through without announcing themselves, showing proper identification, giving us a 72-hour window to run a proper criminal background check to make sure you're not a monster that's going to be looking at your children over the bushes. You don't want a single one of those monsters in your country. What in the world is going on?
Wow.
So Eric, level to me.
I agree. Go ahead,
Eric.
I like that.
So what does a Trump presidency look like in comparison to a Kamala presidency?
Wow. There is no America. There is no America if we make if we make the wrong decision. Hold on, no. I don't think we made the wrong decision in 2020. It doesn't matter who you vote for. All that matters is who counts the votes. Let's not get that twisted. I'm not going to live in a gaslit reality where I'm going to believe that Joe Biden won the last election. I'm not doing it. I never have. I never will. It didn't happen. I watched the results. 6 states magically paused, Trump up hundreds of thousands, and they magically waved some pixie dust. And Joe Biden, the most popular guy who the Democrat primary voters hated, running with Kamala Harris, who they hated even more. The 2 least popular people in the Democratic ticket in 2020 were Harris and Biden. No way they're the most popular administration in all time of 81 million.
I gotta follow up with the question that I would like to.
No. I'm sorry. I couldn't even begin because like that first part took me on that side path because
it's okay.
There is no America if they're allowed to do this again. If they can get away with what they got away with in 2020, we are toast. We are Brazil. We are done. What's that phrase? You can vote your way into socialism or communism, which they're all trash. Marxism. You can vote your way in, but you have to shoot yourself out.
I know somebody that strongly disagrees, but I'm not going to say who it is. But my question is to you is, there's no tell me what evidence you say that Donald Trump won the last presidential race. There's no concrete evidence
I fully understand that,
substantiate
and
that
let me clarify.
as the truth. I'm talking about from mainstream media. How can if there's no tangible evidence? I've heard other people say Donald Trump went. How can that be verified if there's no evidence to prove that?
Yeah, they got away with what they got away with. It
No,
happened
no, I'm
how it
saying
happened. I don't.
I'm not
They
saying that.
counted how they counted, and they got the result that they got. And we're 3.5 years in. Kamala's phrase is "be unburdened by what has been." I would love to be unburdened by the last 3.5 years of this clown show, train wreck monstrosity. So yeah, no court of law has proven statistical fraud that would have guaranteed that Trump would have switched any of this. I get it. None of it's been proven. I fully understand. But look at everything that's being uncovered in Arizona. All the BSery and effery that's happening in Georgia. All this, it's happening. There are so many different mechanisms in place for 2024 to hopefully prevent this from happening again. But now there's 15 million new ballots. There's something in the law that says if you believe you're allowed to vote in a federal election, then it's not a crime. So the people that are being given identification cards by some of these rogue states, like Arizona, I don't know exactly which states, but some of the rogue states are some of the exact ones that magically paused on election night because they're the only 7 bellwether states that are going to determine the difference in this election, allegedly. But if you get an identification card through Minnesota, for example, and maybe they do, maybe they don't, I think they do, there's a mechanism that will automatically generate, you get an automatic ballot to vote now. And they're not cross-referencing and removing the people. Ken Paxton is doing stuff down in Texas right now, doing the exact same thing to clean up the voter rolls, because the Democrats found a way to give everyone an automatic ballot, which means if every automatic ballot is created, they can be counted. They don't have to be cast by that person. But if there's a mechanism in place, they can absolutely put their fingers on the scales of justice. And I hope that we figured out a lot of the tricks last time, and I hope we don't see it again.
Wait a minute now. I'm saying, as a journalist, I do have to ask you, if the mainstream media has indicated and verified that Joe Biden was the winner, and we have no tangible evidence to prove that against news media, how? I'm trying to understand the psyche behind saying it. Explain it to me.
It's there are Donald Rumsfeld famously in the Iraq War, he said there are known unknowns and there are unknown unknowns. So we can talk, and I'm not going to say God tells me this was a rigged election. But what I'm saying is like a personal belief or a personal understanding of a supreme being, some sort of afterlife, and a divine plan, that there's a point to all of this, some sort of belief in a God. Sometimes it's hard to say, oh, well, it's because of A, B, C, and D that God exists, and that's why I have a relationship with them. Sometimes you trust your gut and your conclusions. And just like I said, to be clear, no court of law has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that 2020 was rigged. All right, so I contend they got away with a bunch, and I would love for them to not get away with anything ever again. And I think there should be criminal charges for overthrowing a duly seated president in a coup. I think these things all happened. And if the mainstream media is telling you it's raining today, well, I wouldn't take my umbrella outside. I'd remember the time they had 51 intelligence officers at the alphabet agencies telling us the Hunter Biden laptop was, checks notes, Russian disinformation. It's Russian disinformation because we're actively, through Burisma, money laundering, and we're collecting all this energy money with Hunter Biden.
Yes.
By the way, Trump exposes it, so we got to impeach Trump for exposing the Burisma, Biden, Obama corruption with with Victoria Nuland over there, Zelensky, Ukraine, and Russia. Now we're on the verge of poking the Russian bear into a nuclear World War III because of what their leadership has given us. With one term of Biden,
so I think,
and 2 Obama terms. I think it's crucial. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me further scrutinize that perception that the election was stolen, because the majority of the cases that was brought to claim fraud was presented to Republican, even Trump appointed judges. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
all rejected the notion that the election was stolen.
Well, what they said most of the time was that the person who brought the suit to the court didn't have standing. That was where they said, well, you're not an aggrieved party, so we can't allow you to bring this case because you're not you're not a part of this. You're not a plaintiff here. And so
So
the
they
last
couldn't find anyone
threw a lot of these out.
who they couldn't find anyone who was directly damaged by the stolen election to come forward and say this election is stolen.
Yeah, it's a strange situation with standing. I completely disagree with how these courts said you don't have standing in this national election. And once again, I go back to what I said earlier. The United States is a loosely knit 50 individual little countries inside of the United States. We think of it as one place, but that's because the federal government has gotten too big over these years. They're supposed to have differences state to state. You're supposed to have your civil liberties across the board. But of course, if a resident in Arkansas has his tax policy changed and we've initiated a hot war in Russia, your nephew comes home in a body bag from Afghanistan because of that withdrawal, 13 service members getting killed, leaving billions of dollars to give to whoever happens to pick them up and fly them off of the air base in a place that we've been in war for a decade and hate our guts. Yeah, I think when you connect the dots, there's of course going to be an aggrieved party in Arkansas who can't say, I need you to challenge this in my state because it affects me. No, it doesn't affect you. Yes, it affects all of us. The ripple effect, the butterfly effect of the ramifications of the past 3.5 years of policy, that affects all of us. We should all have standing to make sure that we can bring a case so we can say, hey, this stinks to high heaven. You know what? Maybe every single thing was on the up and up. This is the only election that's been completely above board, despite all of the things we've learned in the past couple of years. We should have a chance to do that. And I think a lot of those were thrown out, but no court of law has proven anything. But I'm telling you what I saw with my own eyes and what my gut instincts tell me. I'm not going to be gaslit to believe that what happened short of a million shenanigans that, look, I think the record books, at least for now, if we're able to expose it and fully explain it coming soon, I surely hope we can. But I guess right now, if you write the history books, I would say they got away with it. I think they cheated and they got away with it. No court of law proved otherwise. But I'll tell you what my hunch is. No way. No way Joe Biden is our most popular American. No way.
So this time they got to make it, as Donald says, it's too big to rig. I get it.
It's a great phrase.
Hey,
and he also says they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way. And I think the tyrants are coming after all of us. This is so much bigger than Democrat, Republican. Republicans hate Trump. The rhinos, they hate him. The Cheneys, the Bushes, the Kinzingers, they hate him. The Cheneys, they can't stand him. The old Republican Guard, Democrats, same thing. We got to protect this country right now.
Quick segue. How to get to your platform? We're not finished yet. Quick segue for people that are just tuning in. How to get to your platform and your name.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So it's The New American Media. We're in all of the places. YouTube has coming up close on 1,600 videos over 13 years. Mm-hmm. We've interviewed presidential candidates from Gary Johnson. Vermin Supreme. We talked to John McAfee, all sorts of people on the peripheral. But YouTube, The New American Media, but YouTube is going to censor us. They've demonetized us. We don't like them. We started a Rumble account. Rumble is the new YouTube. I would recommend everybody get on Rumble. And you can get paid as a content creator, unlike YouTube, who gatekeep, who's allowed to lie to you on CNN, CBS, Fox. They're allowed to lie. But we're not allowed to tell you the truth, and we get censored. So Rumble is good for The New American Media. Spotify, our show, the Agree to Disagree show, and the Unhappy Hour. We're on Truth Social, The New American Media. We're on Facebook, The New American Media. On X, we're at American_media_. X is probably the most important platform on earth right now, at American_media_. So I'd love to get more followers there and just continue the conversation. But yeah, we're also on Patreon if people like to donate to independent journalists.
Yes.
Patreon.com/The New American Media.
And you know what? People that look at the Underground Railroad TV show and podcast, I'm encouraging you to support him. And I very much believe in networking because you know what? We have to help each other. You know, if we feel the message is good, But I have people on there who I think the messages are bad because I'm not a gatekeeper, but support what he's doing. And Johnny, my next question to you is, I'm going to come back to immigration. I want to ask you about the NRA. What do you think about the NRA, and do you feel that an individual has the right to carry a semi-automatic machine gun? And should IDs, a background check, be made when they go to purchase a gun at these trade shows in the South? Can you address that?
Yeah, I think it was Groucho Marx. He had a really great joke, and he said, maybe I'm going to paraphrase or butcher it, but he says something along the lines of, I would never join any organization that would accept someone like me as one of its members.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe one of the most brilliant things I've ever heard. I try to repeat it and bless people with that. Please use it in your daily life. But, you know, NRA, I am a lifetime member. I paid all my dues. I'm a lifetime member.
Yes.
Do I love the organization? No, I don't love any organization.
Yes.
I don't love any organization. As a sports fan, I love the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Indians, now they're something else. The Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Chicago Bears.
Organizations, like those are like my teams. I don't like organizations in general.
I'm joking. Okay. So, I mean, do you think it's justified for an individual to purchase a semi-automatic machine gun? And do you think, I mean, they're getting guns at trade shows and they're making no background checks. Can you respond to that, please?
Yeah, I would say, look, the stated initiative of the NRA was something I strongly believed with, and it's something my family strongly believed with, and it's something that believed in, rather. Firm, unwavering supporters of the Second Amendment. The first and most paramount thing that we have as rights. These are not temporary privileges. Kamala Harris is out there threatening that Elon has gone too far and he needs to lose his privileges of speaking. She's talking to us like a first grade teacher, and she's a tyrant, threatening and warning us that if we step out of line, our daisies are going to get clipped. They're going to come by with the scissors and get rid of us. It's shocking. And the number one thing we have is our voice. I told John McAfee, you know, he famously got a tattoo that said whacked when he was arrested. And
excuse me for a quick second. I got to go back to the NRA. Do you
no. I'm
think it's just
right.
Okay.
Hey, Cliff doesn't like the scenic route.
Now, go ahead.
He got a tattoo that said whacked. And he said, look, if something happens to me, know that I didn't do it. I'm not suicidal. If something happens, I got whacked. And shortly after, he did. And I talked to him in an interview. He ran for Libertarian president. He's the McAfee antivirus guy, one of the most interesting men in the world. Look him up. It's wild. But I had the interesting opportunity of talking with him on multiple occasions. Mm-hmm. And I told him once that, you know, I don't know how this ends. I don't know what happens in the afterlife, but if there is a God, I'm going to approach my current life as if there is some sort of divine being, if there's some sort of a God. Mm-hmm. And if I have to meet my creator one day, I want to be able to look that creator in the eye and say, I tried. I just want to honestly say, I gave it a shot. I saw a bunch of bad shit happening and I tried to stop bad things. I warned people. I tried to offer better ideas. I tried. And I think our First Amendment is paramount in all of our lives, and we have to be willing to speak, and we have to be willing to severely punish politically. We need to fire instantaneously anybody who threatens our ability to talk. And the Second Amendment is there to remind them with a rattlesnake tail. Mm-hmm. If you forget the first thing, please see thing number 2. This will not be tolerated. That's why it was put second. I don't want us to devolve into that. So in general, I am one of the biggest Second Amendment supporting people you will find. I think everybody needs
you're saying it is okay. It should be okay to carry a machine gun, to have a machine gun. That should be, if you believe in that amendment, I'm asking, that should be okay. But you have a semi-automatic machine.
I'm open to the conversation that maybe we shouldn't all have access to nuclear weapons. I'm open to that conversation.
Not
Should we
not the
all be open
machine
to
gun.
drive tanks down the road with live artillery in the okay, I'm open to having that conversation. Or could I mount a machine gun on top of my Jeep and drive through the inner city? Okay, I'm open to having that conversation. There's some things that get, a little silly, but an AR-15 or a shotgun or any sort of side piece that you can imagine, yes, you should have one. You should have more than one in more than one location. And you should, having a guitar in your closet doesn't make you a musician any more than having a gun in your closet makes you a marksman. You have to have a little practice. You have to know how to clean it. You have to be respectful with it. You got to get competent with it, and you need to stay current with it. I support all of that Second Amendment.
And it's justified not checking IDs at gun shows checking backgrounds at gun shows in the South. That is okay too, in your opinion, right?
No, I mean, we can keep talking about that gun show loophole thing that people talk
I'm
about.
asking though.
I will claim to be ignorant on that enough to not understand, because my understanding is that there already is a background check when guns are purchased that way. So if that's accurate, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I'd have to double check and
I'm saying hypothetically. Hypothetically, if they do not make background checks at gun shows in the South, that is okay with you. That's okay.
I don't know. I'm open to that conversation. I don't know if I have a hardline stance on that today. I think that there's family exclusions with, you can make private sales to, you can sell, you own an item, you can sell an item.
That's okay. I get it. Okay.
I got a question.
Hmm?
So you say that you want to live your life so that if there is a God, you can earnestly say that I tried. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, what if God tells you that, wasn't quite good enough because you owned a gun?
Oh, I
Like
would say
you
that
tried, but you didn't quite make it because you was a gun owner.
Yeah, number one, I'd be shocked. I would be startled. I would pull the Groucho Marx line. Anybody that wants that as a requirement to get in there, that's clearly not a place that's designed for me. I would just respond by saying, a good shepherd protects his flock. You know where I was living for 15 years in Los Angeles. You know how dicey it was, how sketchy it was. And you know that I looked out for that community and I tried to keep the wolves at bay. Of course, I'm going to stay strapped. Of course, I'm going to be competent and respectful. My entire life, the number one rule with those devices is never aim at something that you don't intend to shoot, and never touch the trigger unless you intend on pulling the trigger. You learn those first two things, the rest of your life is gravy, baby. It's gravy. So I would be shocked if God said, how dare you be effective, efficient, and deadly so that you can ward off evil? Nah. I would be surprised, I guess, would be the short answer there.
I'd like for you to address not TikTok. TikTok is maybe a threat, but what they're talking about, getting rid of TikTok, but no one is talking about the investments that China is making within the United States by buying property in the United States of America next to military bases and collecting information. Can you address that?
I read a book. They made a movie out of it. Wesley Snipes and Sean was it called Rising Sun, or the book was that, and then they changed it like in the late 90s or something. They had a movie. Mm-hmm. I had a knee injury, so I got laid up for a couple of months. I had to be rehabbing, so I had a lot of books, and I started reading. Mm-hmm. And one of the key thrusts, I believe it was Japan. I think it was Japan based, and it was really elaborating on the business deals, the architectural real estate holdings. You could not, as an outsider, sniff a taste of owning something in Japan. Mm-hmm. Their country is owned by their country, and I'll be damned if you're going to do anything but lease anything in our country. Mm-hmm. That's smart. In the movie Pulp Fiction, The Wolf, when they get in trouble and they need some help, mm-hmm. Harvey Keitel says, if self-preservation is an instinct that you possess, then you better do what I say when I say, because, you know, and he kind of gets to it. I think we're insane if we want to allow somebody from outside of this country to purchase vast acres of fertile farmland on United States soil near military installations. And of course, any plot of land that's a couple hundred acres, you're going to, I mean, there's not a ton of them. No, these are valuable resources that you need to keep close to home.
Yes.
I am severely concerned that we are moments away from an electromagnetic pulse attack that could shut down our communication system, our power system, the water system. The tap doesn't work, the AC doesn't come on, your sump pump won't pump out the tank. It's going to be game time where there's strategically placed individuals that could. I'm concerned that that's at least a possibility.
Yes.
And I don't think we should be selling any of our farmland. I think we should be much more nationalistic and careful with our resources. And we should, like I said earlier, prioritize helping our veterans, our homeless, our drug addicted, our most needy people need to have facilities that you can receive care, not abuse at. And we need to clean our streets up because, like, we're devolving into a third world country. Living in Los Angeles, it turned into a zombie movie the last 4 years I was there. It was like a meth explosion, and there were zombies stealing, robbing, breaking and entering, setting cars on fire, an assault in the laundry room on some poor young girl. Awful stuff happening. And it was all because of the drugs and the homeless. There was no prioritization of Los Angeles to give a shit about the people in that place. I think it's time the people who run these places care about the people inside the places. I don't see the Democrats caring at all. I don't see them at all. I don't see them trustworthy. I see the track record in the big cities, and I'm appalled by it. I love our great big cities. I've gone to a lot of them in this past year, covering all the conventions. You just get it's probably 85% of the people causing 90% of the problems in these places. You got to get them out of general population. You have to help those people live in a safe environment. And I just see it's dereliction of duty.
So do you think that if Chicago, for example, was Republican led, do you think? Now, I don't want to use Chicago because
Chicago.
Reason why, because I have just based on reports. I think there's worse cities in this area. So let's use.
Well, I mean, I was there a week ago. I mean, I remember it vividly. Would pick another city, sure.
I want to go to California. I'm thinking about San Francisco.
San Francisco. I'm familiar there.
Do you think if they had Republican leadership that it would be different?
Let me rephrase the question a little bit. I'll definitely answer your question. But once again, I don't like Team Democrat. I don't like Team Republican. I say the only thing worse than a Republican is a Democrat, and I don't really care for either of them. I think if there was a MAGA candidate, and look, Scott Adams, he does a great podcast. If you've ever checked it out, it's just interesting thought throughout his shows. But he calls it the Trump pirate ship. That has Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat, military hero. It's really smart former Democrat who ended Kamala's campaign 4 years ago. She's now Team Trump. Bobby Kennedy.
I was going to say, what's she had?
They went after Bobby's dad and his uncle, and he's still standing up with middle fingers saying, bring it. Former Democrat, they rigged the primary because Bobby would have won it. So they had to rig it and put Kamala in to rig their primary for the third straight convention in a row now. Because they did it to Bernie Sanders, remember, 12 years ago or 8 years ago, whatever it was. So when I look at the pirate ship of former Democrats who are now jumping on to MAGA, they're not Republican. Don't get it twisted. Tulsi's not a Republican. RFK Jr. is not a Republican. Elon Musk is not a Republican. Elon is former Democrat. He's Team MAGA right now. This is a MAGA takeover. The Republicans, the Cheneys, the Bushes, the Rumsfelds, the Kinzingers can go to hell. They are awful traitors to this country. Now, that being said, if there was MAGA leadership in San Francisco, where the people said, once again, if you want to enter my nightclub, here are the simple rules. If you punch somebody in the face, you're going away and you're not coming back.
Yes.
And if you rob a store, you're going to go away for a little bit. If you rob a store a second time, you're going to go away for a very long time, but not forever.
So
But
what's
if
wrong with
you
Republicans?
keep acting a fool, you are not allowed to hang out with us because you keep disrespecting us. You're not allowed in my home because every time you're here, you take something off my cabinet and put it in your pocket and walk out the door with it. You're not welcome in my home anymore. So if there were MAGA candidates that looked at their city of San Francisco in this example as my home, and if you're going to disrespect me in my home, you're getting arrested. And you're going to be put in there's a facility, and it's not going to be too abusive, whatever. But at some point, you have to have MAGA, make America great again, make America's cities great again, make our local communities safe again.
So, question. So, what do you think? Can you articulate what is the problem with Republicans and with Democrats that make them not good for national leadership right now, or local leadership for that matter?
I mean, I interviewed Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks a couple years back at Politicon. And one of the major thrusts he was working on was to get money out of politics. And once again, I mean, that sounds great, but like, I don't know, pie in the sky stuff. Like, we want peace, stop the war. It's like, yes, what is your plan that everyone else isn't trying? Lay out your 7-point strategy? Because it's like, it's easy to talk in bumper stickers. But I'm sorry, what was the question again? I was thinking bumper stickers. I lost. Oh, the difference between Republicans and Democrats.
What makes them not good for national and local leadership right now?
I think it's that they're bought and paid for. I think the current system drops you into a machine. If you ever played one of those like marble games and there's like indentations and you shake it around and then they all settle and everything finds their little indentation. It's like a game of parcheesi. I don't know what the game's called, but you roll it around, all the marbles drop into their spots. I think Chinese checkers. Yeah, maybe Chinese checkers. Thank you. I have one in the basement. I got like all my old board games. I'm gonna have to pull that out later. But I think the political machine is a game board right now. It's like a game of Chinese checkers or something like that. And when one piece is removed, you'd simply take that marble and set it into the vacant space. And within that space, the entire game board is set and it's on repeat. It's autopilot. It's just doing what it's always done. And there's a lot of people that get put into positions where they don't get opinions. They don't get to differ from their party lines. You see that way more with Democrats because you literally watch the Republicans have an internal civil war over Donald Trump. The rhinos, the Republicans in name only, the McCains, the Romneys, the Rumsfelds, the Bushes, they are not Republican. They never have been. They are military industrial complex, New World Order globalists who are better than you, smarter than you, richer than you. And don't you dare step out of line or else we will remind you. We'll take you to Dealey Plaza. We'll remind you what happens when you step out of line. Mm-hmm. And so I don't like the Republican Democrat system one iota. But like I said, back again, the Republicans had their civil war. The rhinos lost, and now they're on CNN, and they're with the Democrats. Liz Cheney's a Democrat. She's always been a Democrat. Mm-hmm. We've known that. We know it now because Trump exposed it. So I think it's veered into a different direction where MAGA actually has a chance. We're spending $1 trillion every 3 months. If you ran your bank account this way, your shit would have been repossessed last week. Whatever we're doing is on a crash course to misery. This is on a crash course. The math doesn't math. Okay. Bring Elon Musk into this administration on the Donald Trump pirate ship and say, look, I bought Twitter. And it was all, I got to work on my Elon accent, but he bought Twitter and he cut 95% of the workforce. It was a deep state censorship apparatus under control of the 3-letter agencies. But when he cleaned it up, he ran so much more efficiently. He's joining the Donald Trump pirate ship to cut the government inefficiency, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. He's on Team Trump. And I want the smartest people thinking of ideas and trying to think of what do we do next? How do we fix all of these issues? There are 17 fires raging inside of our country right now. What do we do? Well, I'd rather have Elon and Trump thinking about it than the person that was the last person in the room on Afghanistan's botched withdrawal that sent 13 home and body bags and sent billions of dollars of military hardware. I mean, the highest level of tanks and helicopters and the Air Force, the military base itself. Kamala orchestrated that. As borders
Yeah.
orchestrated an invasion of this country. Yeah, I'm done with all of that. I'd like some smart people in charge again. Seal up the border, increase the energy output that's happening inside of our country instead of buying it from countries that hate us, and lower the price of energy, lower inflation that way, cut a bunch of inefficiencies, and make this country humming again like it was until they unleashed COVID on the world. So it's obvious for me in that regard.
And you know what? Do you mind staying a little longer? Because I know you're a busy man.
Hey, look, we corrected. I'm not a former Kamala supporter. I'm not a former.
No, to me, you mind going a little long.
And now that we're kind of rolling now. Yeah, let's go. And I'll try to avoid taking too many scenic routes. I'll hit you with more answers. But I talk in a long-winded way because sometimes I'm seeking the appropriate way to add the nuance I'm looking for. I can hit you with a bumper sticker, and I've thrown about 5 or 10 out earlier. They're not coming after you. They're coming after
you. I mean, regarding the scenic route, I mean, I guess we do have time constraints, but in reality, things are not always as straightforward as we would like them. They often tie into other issues. So I get it. You have to bring in the other issues to show how they connect.
What I need to ask you is, former President Donald Trump, what is your assessment of him with his relationship with Vladimir Putin, the premier of Russia, for him to make the statement when he thought about the hacking and information? Putin said Russia had nothing to do with it, and he sided with Russia opposed to our own CIA. Why? What do you think that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that was appropriate?
All right, let me backtrack, because there have been a
I saw it.
There have been a plethora of stories that we were told, like the 51 intelligence officials that came out to rig the 2020 election by lying about Hunter Biden's laptop, full of blackmail information and full of really sketchy business dealings that look like he's doing insider baseball, enriching himself and his family's wealth by running some corrupt business dealings with Burisma, the energy company in Ukraine, and all of the Ukrainian strife with Russia. So there's that story. But then there's also, are you referencing Seth Rich when he leaked the DNC information and it ended up on WikiLeaks?
Yes.
And
Julian Assange
shortly after, because he was a Bernie supporter. He didn't like that the Democrats rigged their primaries against Bernie Sanders. So what the Democrats did to Bernie, they did to RFK. They said, "You're not welcome in our club." They go, "Okay." Well, Bernie took his money like a good little boy, sat down and shut up and did as he's told. RFK flipped his middle fingers off. He goes, "I'm a Kennedy. I don't need your money. I'm going on the pirate ship."
Excuse me. I want to go back to the question: did former President Donald Trump believe Vladimir Putin over his own CIA, FBI, over Vladimir Putin? What can you respond on that? I don't get it. What does Vladimir Putin have on former President Donald Trump for him to go against his own government to agree with a communist?
Well, there's a lot of people that say his own government just set up an assassination attempt on himself. There's some people that say that the CIA has been doing this to us for a long time, overthrowing.
I'm talking about the DNC. That's what I'm talking about.
But as far as this particular report, I'm pretty sure that was Seth Rich. That was a DNC guy that got that report out. And that was because of the Democrats rigging their primary. So the fact that the CIA, the same crusty officials, the 51 intelligence officials that lied about Hunter's laptop, they came out and said, "Oh, Russia hacked the DNC." It's like, no. That was internal because you pissed off your own people. That was a lie. That was a complete fabrication, just like 51 intelligence officials saying Hunter Biden's laptop has all the classic earmarks of Russian disinformation. Bullshit. It's just like Wesley Clark said. The United States government picks your targets, and they spend the next few decades going after those targets.
I'm doing a show right now. Can I call you back?
Okay, you can call me back.
So, is there anything that alarms you about a Trump
Oh, you
candidacy.
right. All right.
Alarm.
I'm sorry, y'all.
The continued attempts on his life worry me. We don't want to see an America where that happens. I do say, I put it now, the past several weeks, I do have a legitimate concern about Kamala Harris and Trump. And I say a prayer at the beginning of my show to pray for the health and safety of the Kamala Harris campaign and the Donald Trump campaign. I think Kamala is so in over her head, so unqualified, so unlikable. She's her biggest asset. And I
She got
fear
an
that.
asset? No, I'm just kidding.
Ask Montel. Ask Montel. He'll tell you. He'll Montel you about her asset.
Okay.
But I am concerned that Kamala could be martyred by the same deep state that tried to take out Trump. If they could blame MAGA by taking out the most unlikable, cackling, drunken hyena, she appears to be the wine mom, she could be worth more to them out of the picture than in the picture, to rally the country together against the violent rhetoric of MAGA or something. So I pray for their safety. I do think she's a traitor and she should face treason charges. So that's, be safe until you're proven guilty of a crime that carries a capital punishment with it. But that being said, the things that worry me about a Trump return, Trump 2.0, Trump's second term, his, maybe his third term, whatever, however some people phrase that. I think we saw what we're going to get out of Trump. And I think he appreciated world peace. He's never been a big fan of ginning up unnecessary foreign wars that spiral us into debt to send thousands of our own men and women from Vietnam to the Gulf War to when they pulled out of Afghanistan home in body bags. I think Trump has shown, number one, don't mess with me. You're coming into my nightclub. You met Mufasa out front. He's smiling, but he doesn't always smile.
Do you think
I see stability on the global stage with Trump there because he doesn't mess around. And he does value peace. The Abraham Accords had the Middle East calmed down. Kids stop fighting each other. The two kids in the sandbox stop fighting, or they're disrespecting mom. They won't stop fighting. And then Trump comes in. Dad's home now. Sit in that corner and sit in that corner. We are not doing this. Trump negotiated some sort of semblance of peace in the Middle East, at least for a little bit, was working on those efforts. Dad goes away again, and the kids go at it again, even worse than before. I see more stability with Trump on the stage. I see potential nuclear war with Democrats, Victoria Nuland, Obama, all of the team that's been there for 12 of the last 16 terms. I don't like anything about the people surrounding them. So I'm not concerned about much with Trump at all.
Yeah, I have to, ask you something. And first of all, I concur. I don't believe the things that going on in Taiwan and the Ukraine. I don't believe that would ever happen on Donald Trump's watch. I don't believe that.
I don't know.
My partner over there is disagreeing, but that's okay.
And by the way, that's an issue right there. That's a perfect example of, like I said, I don't have proof of God. I don't have proof that the elections were stolen. But my internal feeling, my gut tells me, if Trump were president for 3.5 years, we were unburdened by what Kamala did, then I think none of that would have happened as well. I can't prove that. No court of law has proven that. But I sincerely believe that because evidence, rational thought. I've connected dots before. To me, it's obvious, but it's also speculation. I understand that. There's a difference between the hard who, what, where, when, why, and speculation opinion. I give opinions all day.
That's what I tell my partner on the other side of me, but he said, that's rhetoric. My question.
Rhetoric built the nation.
My question to you is, what people have said that when President Trump went to Arlington, where the dead soldiers were, that he said, "Oh, look at these people dead. They're a bunch of suckers." He denies that. What is your feelings? I'm talking about the people that died during the war. He said these are a bunch of suckers. What was your opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, toss it on the pile. Toss it on the pile of hoaxes. Trump told people to drink bleach. That never happened. Trump called Nazis fine people. Never happened. Literally the opposite. The pile of hoaxes about Trump, they have been framing this guy for 9 years straight. If you don't know who to vote for in this election, vote for the guy that all of the worst people keep trying to ruin, because he might mess up the bad things that they have planned. I'm voting for the guy that all the worst people hate.
Johnny is
Another
filming.
hoax.
I
I don't believe a lick of the suckers and losers thing. But I do believe that there is a sentiment that people who get duped into doing the bidding of the globalist regime, the military industrial complex, the New World Order, however you want to define this amorphous blob, the United Nations, the whatever these things, Klaus Schwab, you feel like there's some sort of galactic puppeteering happening. You know, I could understand the sentiment of someone feeling like they got suckered into being a pawn for some really bad people and you lost your life over it. So if maybe something was said and taken out of context, I've never seen anything believable on that. I've seen a president that gives a shit about our troops. I like everybody, I suppose. We all have family, maybe, or extended family, or at least friends and people we know that served in the service. You know,
Johnny, look like you want to say something so bad. Go ahead. Damn, Johnny.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just saying it's one of the highest forms of honor that anybody could have. I absolutely think President Trump understands that, respects that. As far as I can tell, I appreciate a president that's not going to waste human life on things that could have been negotiated. I don't like the gangster tactics of us getting involved everywhere. I get to some degree. You need to be a world player. You need to have a presence. Of course, you're involved. But to be involved at this level, they've simply gone too far. The deep state has gone too far.
Yes.
They've pushed their lies too far. They've harmed us too much to be trusted ever again. They have taken out too many good people. I mean, whether that was Malcolm,
who is the deep state
family, whether that was Martin. I mean, they take out people. In Living Color does a song, and the lyrics are, "When a leader speaks, that leader dies."
Wow.
You know, and it's just, they've gone too far. I wouldn't care about the deep state going too far. Now, on a selfish level, I wouldn't care about the deep state going too far if gas was $1 a gallon. If I could go to the grocery store and not walk away with a $400 bill at the grocery store.
Yes.
I paid $300 and $400. I didn't get 3 carts of food. I'm sorry. That makes me batshit. Because if you're not paying attention to what's happening to our dollar collapsing, we are being driven into a hellhole. We are losing any chance we had of the American dream by the creeps that call themselves Democrats and rhino Republicans right now. Jump on the Trump pirate ship and fight that. Whatever he's against, I'm against that stuff, generally speaking.
Quick, you know what? Quick question on immigration. I want to go back to immigration. Do you believe that the individuals that are coming into the United States by thousands, do you believe that they are draining the Social Security system and the Medicare system, and property taxes will rise up? And for jobs, the job salaries will go down because they know that it's an over surplus of people. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, it's called economics. You know, it's supply and demand.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, okay.
If you have one person applying for your position, well, who has negotiating power if a job wants what you have and you're the only one that has it?
Yeah.
What would you set your salary at if you're the only one on earth that can do a thing? What would you set?
Million.
$1 billion.
Keep going. Keep going. Like, there's no ceiling.
I'm just saying that people want to.
If you're the only one that can do the job.
People in the sanctuary cities, are they? Is it right for them to be angry because Social Security will be drained and Medicare will be overwhelmed? California is overwhelmed. I saw the picture.
Chicago is overwhelmed.
Can you expand on that?
The Bronx is overwhelmed. I'm interviewing these people, man, on the street. They hate this illegal alien invasion. They hate it. These aren't MAGA Republicans. Oh, they just don't like people that aren't like them. No. Everybody who looks like everything hates what Kamala Harris, what borders are Kamala Harris has done to ruin this country. All what some people say, in an effort to create 15 million untraceable ballots that can be magically delivered at the perfect moment. Oh my gosh, look, the country elected Kamala now. Oh, did it now.
You do agree, but you do agree that it is going to decimate Social
Oh,
Security
yeah,
and
wrapping up my
Medicare.
point on that. If 10 people are applying for your job, well, guess what? You're pitting them against each other. You can lower the price that you're asking. If there's 100 people fighting for that one job,
Yeah.
I lived in Hollywood, man. Like there are casting couches for a reason, and people say that's what Kamala was to get into politics. Hey, that's not a slur on her for being a lady. It's a perhaps accurate representation of how she got where she got. Okay. And that
Yeah.
is
So
kind of the slimy, incestuous system of the Chinese checkers. You remove a piece, you put it in, the system stays the same. But it's back to simple economics. If there are people that are on a construction site and you need somebody for a day, well, that person's either $10 an hour or $15 an hour or $20 an hour or 25. But if there are 100 illegal aliens standing outside of Home Depot like they were in Los Angeles, well, now you're undercutting the market. You're taking tax dollars and tax revenue out because they're working off the books. And the person who is a handyman, he's trying to make some money to pay the bills at the grocery store that he just drove to, and he can't pay for gas in his tank. And there's people at Home Depot working off the books for cash only, and they get cards with thousands of dollars of accommodations for them to just spend to be here going, nobody voted for this. Nobody voted to do this. Why is this happening? Nobody voted to just come on in. Anybody, everybody. We're going to send the bouncer. We're going to send him out to lunch. You know what? Take the rest of the day off, Mufasa. We don't need a bouncer at our nightclub today. Well, you know what happened at my nightclub? When I left there, they shot the place up. Not because I left there, but a sketchy promoter bringing in sketchy music with sketchy messaging and sketchy fans pulled firearms and shot multiple people at the place.
Yeah.
When you don't have an authority figure, when Mufasa ain't
Yes.
your door guy, you bring in all the worst elements possible. That is dereliction of duty. That is treason, and that carries a hangable offense.
That's
This is
right.
like we're not playing around here. This is life and death stuff. I
Yeah.
love our great American cities, and I hate how they are not being represented by MAGA candidates who care about their own communities. I
Yes.
can't.
Okay,
So
Johnny,
when-
go ahead. If you ain't got
so
one, I
when-
got plenty of questions.
So when Mufasa is president again, you telling me that so
Eric
you
was awesome. I wish you could meet Eric. I need to find him now. I was connected on Facebook. I haven't seen him in a while. Hope he's doing well.
then you think that we could get back to partying in peace? Is that what you think? Is that your
Donald
perception?
Trump, if anyone's confused, once again, throw it on the pile of hoaxes. Another one of those hoaxes is Agenda 2025, Project 2025. Project 2025. The Democrats keep trying to pin the tail on the donkey, even though they're the jackass in this representation. They keep trying to say, "Oh, Trump 2025." Trump is a very forward-thinking man. When you look at his website, it's called Agenda 47. His policies are clearly articulated, unlike Kamala, who has no policy position. And now it's when she does, no, that was the old me. My values are consistent, but my policy is different. Tell me what to say. Like, that's what we're getting out of Kamala. Trump has it all listed on his website.
Yes.
And so, I'm sorry, where were we going with that? I started giggling like Kamala, and I lost my train of
Come on,
thought.
listen to this guy. Go ahead,
Oh,
Johnny.
when Mufasa's back in office, right? So when Mufasa's back in office, I expect a lot of this stuff to settle down. I really do. It's common sense. Don't make me tell your father. I mean, have you ever heard that from your mom before? Or like, don't make me get the switch, or you're 1 second away from me breaking one of these wooden spoons on your backside.
Yes.
All you got to do is say the right thing to the right people at the right time, and everybody stands up straight and shuts up.
Yes.
That's what's needed at the border. You need your Mufasa sitting there. So
could a Kamala presidency bring any good, like contribute anything constructive?
The memes would be hilarious. The memes would be hilarious as the second installed Weekend at Bernie's puppet being pulled around on marionette strings. Wave to the camera. The memes would be hilarious, but that's playing the fiddle while Rome burns. Let them have their breads and circuses while everything's falling apart around them. Like I wouldn't trade more comedic opportunities for just safety, stability, common sense policies. I really feel a nefarious good and evil battle happening. I felt it severely in 2016. I actually had to take a little bit of time off after the campaign. There was something so dark and demonic about Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democrat Party, what they've become. And I mean this seriously, completely, biblically, epically, on any realm that you can fathom. If this was a big, we said Chinese checkers, let's go to another board game. If you ever played Risk, and it's the world map, and you have different pieces, and you roll the dice, and you conquer the world. A game of Risk is happening and always has happened on this planet. The powers that be, they don't really give a shit about any of us at all. George Carlin said, "It's one big club, and you and I aren't in it."
George Carlin. Okay.
I miss George Carlin so much. I wish he was
too,
still with us. But I feel an urgency that reactivated for me to participate in the 2016 campaign the way that I did, to crank out the content, to cover the news and help inform people about what the lies are. There are known unknowns. There are known lies. And then there are things that feel like lies. And we're still trying to unpack it and connect the dots. And I've been wrong about a couple things, but I've never been wrong intentionally. When CNN, when MSNBC, when they put out 51 CIA hacks, flacks, and lackeys to lie to your GD face, to just lie to you, there is something so twisted about that when they know that we know that they're full of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're still pushing it and still getting away with any of it, it partially kills my soul, but it partially strengthens my resolve to try to stop it. Because like I said, back to the deep state, if they were doing a good job, I don't think I'd care. Oh, there was a regime in Kenya that the leadership changed. Oh, in Brazil, such happened. I go, I don't know, whatever. Okay. But nothing is working right in America right now. The fires are popping off globally on that game of Risk, on the board game of Risk.
I know.
And we need to start putting these things out, because I think as we enter the artificial intelligence age, they call it the singularity, the merging of man and machine. It's called transhumanism. Now, I know Elon's a big part of that. I get why someone disabled would like to have sight again or mobility. And I also see where the human soul can start to dissipate or get enhanced. And that's a huge conversation to have. But we are at a flashpoint now where either tyrants are going to seize control or keep control of America, and the world's going to suffer, or we seize it back and we start thinking of better ways to move forward the next few years, next few decades. We cannot be allowed to reap the benefits of staying where they are, because they haven't earned the consent of the governed.
Excuse me. Can you give a segue to your show? How do people get in contact with you and where your website is? But I got other questions though.
It's the new American media, because the old American media has failed. I think our tagline is seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun. Join us in our mostly civil conversation. What more can you ask? Like a mostly civil chat. So it's called The New American Media. Our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com, will take you to our X feed and our Facebook, maybe, but I haven't updated that as regularly as I update our X account. X and Rumble are the two most important platforms that everyone needs to be on today. Like after this show, if you guys aren't on both of them, get on X and get on Rumble. But on X, we are at American_media_. And on Rumble, we just search for The New American Media. But yeah, we have an archive on YouTube, The New American Media. It's 1,500 videos over 13 years of content. From sports to, it runs the gamut. We're at music conventions. We're doing politics. We're doing sports coverage, humor stuff. We're big proponents of growing food, learning survival skills. We live a life where we just go to the thing and turn the handle and expect a glass of healthy water. There are emergencies where you got to level up. So we do a lot of things, not just politics and sports, but those are the two main thrusts. But yeah, just look for The New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify, and the Unhappy Hour Sports Show on Spotify podcasts.
Okay. And you know what? Getting back to questions, my question is, that President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard in 1971. Okay. So therefore, the dollar has been devalued. Okay, because they're printing up. The Federal Reserve was contrived on Jekyll Island anyway. But what I'm saying is the dollar bill is not backed by anything, but you have something called BRICS, where you have nations like China and Russia. They form their own organization, so the dollar bill cannot be weaponized against them. What do you think about BRICS?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're
How
evolving.
does the United States deal with this issue since the United States dollar bill is backed by nothing?
Yeah, they're evolving.
Yeah, I'm asking.
It's like artificial intelligence
how
and
do we deal with it?
computational procedures. They're evolving. They're learning. They're growing. They're realizing that the powers that be, the deep state, the globalists, the worst people who don't care about any of us, they don't care. There is no amount of humanity they will not butcher to keep power and control. Those countries that are saying, we've been railroaded, abused, forced, coerced into making awful policy decisions by the people that run the monetary policy. So we're going to do something different. Look at cryptocurrency. Crypto is a response to saying, what are you doing? We used to be gold back. We used to be silver back. But I know Nixon gets a lot of grief for that. But I mean, Kissinger's role in that cannot be understated. Kissinger left us within the past year. And I think he was probably the person that pushed Nixon to do that. But that being said, this could be our number one topic every show. If your dollar was 100% more effective, what would you? How would that change your daily life?
They're still with this. The dollar bill is backed by nothing. But their currency is going to be backed by gold. How do we deal with it?
I got a question though. I got a question. So, how would that change things if it was backed by gold? Well, I mean,
and I could say this inarticulately.
I know. Okay, so it would have some change. I'm aware of some changes, but how would that fix the instability that seems to be innate in the global economy?
Yeah, I might say this inarticulately, but cryptocurrency, I look at as being backed by scarcity and transparency. It's scarce, like something like Bitcoin, for example, specifically. There's a million coins, and I don't know all of them, but there's a limited amount that can be mined. And over time, it gets more expensive and more timely, more cost inhibitive to create more Bitcoin, which in its constrained scarcity, it drives up value. It's like real estate. They're not making any more of it. With the dollar, you used to have to go to the printing press. You'd go and you'd crank the handle. Back in the 1700s, we had continentals. My family history, the pirate ship analogy, it works really well here. I had a relative, Jacob DeHaven, and I essentially like to quickly distill his story down to being a pirate during the Revolutionary War. He was on the East Coast, and he was pilfering goods and supplies from the British ships, and he was in turn loaning these goods and supplies back to the colonists who were fighting in the Revolutionary War against
What's his name again?
Jacob DeHaven.
And where is he from?
East Coast colonies during the Revolutionary War. And I'm not even an expert on him, but I'm a member of the DeHaven Club. I need to reach out to them and get all of the backstory. But they used to have continentals. And I know that because the goods and services that were supplied to the United States troops during those times to Washington and his other commanders, that was supposed to be paid back to Jacob DeHaven, and it was not paid back. They said, oh, we'll give you some continentals. And he said, I'm sorry, what? Yes, we'll give you continentals. What are continentals? Continentals are paper currency with zero backing. He said, oh, that's super. No, I'll just take gold and wheat, please. And he never got it. And that turned into an astronomical sum that could probably buy the entire state of Kansas if we were to collect on that with interest. But the continentals had no value because they weren't backed by anything. The US dollar used to be gold and silver. It used to actually have a redeemable value. So it was easy.
Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, what is going to be the cause and effect of a dollar bill not being backed by anything and BRICS currency being backed by gold? What's going to be the effect? That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
the Continental collapsed in the 1700s because it was backed by nothing. That's
Okay.
what's going to happen. We're going to not be able to buy anything. It's going to be hyperinflation, Zimbabwe $1 trillion bills. Like, there is no way out of the situation we are in unless somebody smart can do something very different. This is
But
a collision course with catastrophe right now.
you're
And it seems like there's drunken sailors making decisions, and it seems like the least capable people have seized the control panel. They have the steering wheel. They are pressing the buttons, and it's like a room full of chimpanzees blindly pressing buttons on a typewriter. It doesn't feel organized, appropriate, or effective, or safe.
Well, essentially, what you're saying is like Germany, when Adolf Hitler was in charge, they're going to be burning Marx money because it's become worthless.
Yeah, Zimbabwe, the Weimar Republic. Yeah, absolutely. Our money is becoming worth less, and soon it's going to be worthless. So that's why some people are investing in crypto. They're going into real estate. They're trying to get their money out of dollars now because dollars are trash. You have to get things. A house, if you buy it for 200,000, it can go to 300,000. Your dollar's still trash. It's going the opposite direction. It's taking more dollars to get that same thing that it took 4 years ago. The lady at the bodega in the Bronx, she's like, I come back, I can hardly eat throughout the week. My dollar doesn't get me anything anymore. I'm on a fix. I heard this story in Chicago. I heard it in DC. I heard it in Milwaukee. I heard it in the Bronx. Everybody is struggling right now. If the dollar wasn't being rapidly inflated because of too much spending, our lives would be totally different if our dollar was twice as effective, 100 times as effective. But under this leadership with Obama, Biden, Harris, it's just going into the toilet because they think on a global scale. They don't think locally, they think globally. Yes. Globally, we've had it too good for too long. So we need to import the third world and destroy our currency so other people can raise the level of their thing. It's communism. It's Kamala communism. It's never worked. We're not putting up with it. We're not allowing it. We got a couple of days to cast our votes and stop it. Freedom isn't granted through the bloodstream, like Ronald Reagan said. It must be fought for by every current generation.
And what's wrong with communism?
Huh?
What's wrong with communism?
Besides everything, most of it.
Say again?
Besides everything, I would say most things are wrong with communism. Marxism, socialism, it all kind of leads to the same path of totalitarian tyranny for me.
Like what we have, don't we have something like that now?
It destroys the spark of creativity. It destroys the work ethic. It destroys the soul, I think. Yeah, I've never seen communism.
Okay, now explain that to me, how it destroys the soul.
Are we striving or are we couch surfing? Are we creating paths and trails and building and fixing and innovating? Or are we waddling over to the trough to stick our slimy nostrils into a bucket of filth and eat the scraps?
Okay, so unless there's a difference in compensation, people won't have an incentive to do anything.
I think motivation is important. I think purpose is important. Perhaps most important. Mm-hmm. And
that doesn't exist in communism.
Oh, I mean, ask the people that fled these places. I mean, read the Gulag Archipelago. I mean, it's brutality, and it always ends in mass executions. It always ends in genocide. Always ends. Because I would say it's probably a religion of greed and envy. I think it's always trying to poison the soul of a person to say, you know, the reason why you're not doing well? It's because of that guy. Get him.
Wait a minute.
He has too much. She's living too well. Go get him. Go tax him. Go get him. pitchforks. Let's go get them.
But if you have communism, isn't there not supposed to be that differential in compensation where you have someone that you are targeting?
I would say to that, to me, it just reeks of greed and envy generally. I'm not a father, but I did foster a child for about half a year when I lived in Los Angeles to help him finish his year of school. And then he moved to another school and the thing stabilized for him. Luckily, I think I lost contact, but I helped how I could where I was with what I had. You know, I don't know, like I did the best I could there. But when I had him, a 10-year-old in Los Angeles, and I saw, I asked him, I wanted to hear what he was, I wanted to hear his thoughts. What are your teachers saying? What do you believe? And while I had him, I just tried to instill a strong sense of, buddy, look, hard reality, very few people legitimately care about you. If you're lucky enough to have that in a support system in your life, stable family and loved ones. And then at some point, some of those leave and you might get a few more, but you're kind of on your own, buddy. And you could either make excuses or be bitter or hold jealousy in your heart and find reasons why you're not getting better grades or why something in the world isn't working. Or you can put energy into working harder and becoming better. You can level you up. There are no limitations on you for what you look like, for how you were raised, your background, but it's up to you now to make a monster out of yourself and succeed. No one's going to do it for you. You can couch surf your way into just drooling and playing Xbox all day.
I can tell you something, me and you sound the same on that, brother.
Bro, like either get at it or get to making excuses and get out of my face with that.
Same thing.
So it's just
people that cop out and make mistakes. Oh, they can't make it. That's a lie.
You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Bullshit. I worked my ass off so much at so many different things, from sports to school to different jobs and other different jobs and other different jobs. If I'm crushing it with a good place, I am rewarded with better things. And if it doesn't work out and I'm not crushing it and I'm not succeeding, well, maybe that's the universe guiding me to a different path somewhere.
Can I tell you something real quick? Some people don't get it, brother. Some people, I'm not calling no names, they just don't get it, brother.
Bless them.
Go ahead. But I want to ask you a question, man.
I have no idea what this guy's trying to throw off. You must have an imaginary friend somewhere.
No, yeah. But I'd like to ask you the debates. Oh, man, I'm looking forward to the debate.
Yeah, how many of those are we getting?
And they're going to be three. What is your anticipation about what may happen?
That's two more than we need.
Will influence the election, make Kamala look bad, or make Trump. What do you anticipate by looking at these three debates?
Look, man, there's micro, there's macro. I have a lot of thoughts. So number one, he already knocked out the champ. He already is the champ. Biden was the guy. He beat him in the ring. Give him the belt. Crown the man. Crown his ass. Give him the belt. He knocked out the guy. You knocked out the sitting champion. Give him the belt. He already took out Biden. So what are we even doing with Harris? But what we're doing with Harris is important, I guess. Part of me said, don't even bother debating her. What are we doing?
I was saying the same thing.
Like the JV team at the rec league when you're a professional ball player. Like, what are we doing at the local YMCA? Like, why? Why are we doing this? She's completely unkamalified. Her record speaks for itself with Biden in office with the dirty deep state Democrats. Just shut up. There's nothing to say. 3.5 years of their shit or a totally different path, the exact opposite. Pick. There's no need to debate her at all. Now,
I agree.
Set that aside. I'm sorry. You agree for what reason?
Well, I agree because if I'm leading, I think Kamala has nothing to stand on. You know what? It's not that I don't like Kamala. I don't even know her. I don't agree with her policies.
I don't like a political party that would prop somebody like Joe Biden up and try to lie to us for 4 years saying he's cognitively with it. Oh no, he's not impaired. He's sharp as attack. Sharp as attack, they all said. Sharp as attack right before Trump knocked him out. Sit down, shut up, belt's over, meet the new champ. got blown out because we've all seen it and we've all been gaslit over these years. They keep gaslighting us. They look us in the eye and say, hey, what is it like having a purple parrot sitting on your shoulder right now? I like that looks cool, but like, do they poop on there? And you're like, oh, that was for, I don't have a parrot on my shoulder. No. I get that, but like the parrot that's sitting there, like I'm watching it squawk and it's walking to and fro. What is it like having that parrot? Like, do you have to change how often do you change the newspaper at the bottom of the bird cage? And you go, okay, maybe I wasn't clear, or now I'm starting to sense that maybe you're a lunatic, but like, I don't have a purple parrot on my shoulder.
Yes.
They don't stop lying about the purple parrot.
Yes.
They will not stop gaslighting us to try to make us think we're crazy. So they lied to us for 4 years about Biden. Kamala lied to us the most because she should have taken him out with the 25th Amendment. She's really out to lunch. She's derelict in her responsibility for having us leaderless for 3.5 years. So it's dangerous. It's dereliction of duty. That being said,
so you said,
you know something I told somebody, man, comparisons. It's like watching somebody at the steering wheel and you know they get ready to crash into something and you complicit and you just don't say anything. But no, the president doesn't run anything. No, man, the president makes major decisions that impact everybody's life.
wrong.
Funny. Go ahead, man. You got
no, okay. Nah. I mean, you know,
I would say this about Harris. It's clear, it is obvious as anybody has ever seen. They are hiding her. They were hiding Biden for 4 years in the basement. 81 million votes. You're not going to gaslight me to believe Joe Biden got 81 million totally legitimate votes running a campaign from his basement as the second least likable person on that Democratic.
Can't prove that though.
No court of law has proven that. No court of law has proven that, and I do admit that.
Yeah, Johnny.
But they are trying to hide Kamala Harris more than they tried to hide Joe Biden and his cognitive defects. A man with clearly suffering from advanced stage dementia or something along the lines of a brain that's not firing on full cylinders, maybe not long for this earth. And there was allegedly a medical incident near Las Vegas where they called in, they shut down, they were going to clear the freeway and get him to a hospital, and then something changed. And then something was fine. Then they went back to the East Coast. There was a story out there about that. That probably played as big a role as anything, including the debate and getting rid of Joe Biden. And they staged a coup. Let it not be glossed over. Kamala Harris she led a coup with Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Chuck Schumer, and others. They overthrew the sitting president and made him go sit on the beach for a couple of weeks. They overthrew the sitting president.
Oh, he was pushed out. I agree.
The primaries against the opportunity of Bobby Kennedy coming in and becoming the nominee instead of their hand-selected puppet Kamala Harris.
Okay. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yes.
Go ahead,
okay,
Johnny.
so
I got one more question for you, but go ahead, Johnny.
So you think that Kamala Harris should have stepped in at least, let's say, 1.5 years ago and did something?
Keep the boxing analogy. Let's keep the boxing analogy. At some point, let's go MMA. It's the same thing. You're punching and you're kicking, whatever. At some point when someone is debilitated, you need a referee there to jump, to spring into action, to physically get between the two of them to prevent the obviously defeated sucker loser that just got his ass whooped from taking another single pummel to the skull. You have to protect that person from themselves. And where was Congress to step in and say, Biden is out to lunch. We need to protect our country from itself. He's incapable of being there. There should have been some sort of mechanism to get him out earlier. Absolutely. But as far as the debate, they're trying to hide Harris completely, and she will be exposed immediately. If she does 3 of these, I'm going to be astonished if she actually goes through 3 of them. She might get knocked out in the first debate, just like Trump knocked out Biden. But at this point, is there any way logistically to pull Kamala off and put another name up? Tim Walz and Harris, these are perhaps the 2 most atrocious choices we've ever seen for political office, foisted upon us by a deep state Democrat rhino system that thinks we're stupid enough to believe that they're going to get enough ballots. Oh, it was close though. Oh, it was 51-49. Oh, it was close. This thing in accurate polls, when they just let it loose on a poll, it's 70-30. It's 78% to 22%, 65 to 35. Trump is up by 20 plus points on this clown. This isn't remotely believable that there's a chance here, but we're supposed to believe it because I think the deep state might be dumb enough to try to do it again. And I really hope it doesn't happen. But I think if we get 3 debates out of Kamala, let's go. Oh, it's going to get worse than the one before. She's going to go, I'm talking.
Yes. Go ahead, Johnny.
I'm talking. I'm talking. I'm talking.
You know what?
So you think that you would have been more comfortable with a Kamala Harris presidency for the last 2 years?
You know, I mean, look, logistically, what difference does it make? Biden hasn't been in control. I often call this the third and most honest Barack Hussein Obama administration that we've had to sit through and suffer through yet. This is Obama at the helm. This is the deep state puppeteers around the Obama orbit. It's the Clinton influence. This is the same cabal of globalists that are just hell bent on whatever they're doing. It ain't helping us. So, yeah, I'm against that. This is the third and most honest term of Barack Hussein Obama. We are seeing it, and he is getting off on it, I believe, in my heart of hearts. He loves having that crusty old white guy that he never liked anyway. You're the one that's going to take the blame for Afghanistan while I pull a McCain and arm the moderate rebels. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you all can go to hell. All of whatever that stuff is, I'm done with it. I've been done with it. It's not helping. It's time to make a course correction on the pirate ship. Grab the wheel. Kamala's had a couple bottles of wine today. She's a little laughy, a little giggly at this press conference. Dad's home. We're going to take the wheel. We've been off-roading. You know, we're just Dad's taking the wheel, and let's stabilize this and try to keep ourselves from going over the damn cliff that I see us with World War III, with a planned invasion of this country, with an electromagnetic pulse to harm our power grid and cripple us for an actual takeover. Yeah, that's maybe not as likely, but that's likely. It is 100% in the scope of things that could happen. This country was taken over before, and they are trying to do it actively. And the people trying from the Democrat deep state, they should not be allowed, like a creep at a school. You must keep 200 yards away from any position of power for the rest of your life, lest we make it any more serious than that.
Excuse me. I would like to ask you, do you think that it's inappropriate for former President Donald Trump to make the statement, is Kamala black? Do you think it's inappropriate to bring up Kamala Harris going with Willie, what was his name? The mayor of San Francisco, Willie Brown. And do you think it's inappropriate to talk about Trump has been indicted on 31 check charges? I mean, sex crimes. Do you think that it's inappropriate to bring these things up in a campaign?
Well, yeah, we had that conversation as well. On Facebook, we have the Agree to Disagree show group. We hit that topic pretty hard. And I would say what I've seen, because I'm doing this entire arc of a documentary right now. We were at January 6th. We interviewed a lot of people. We did a documentary of that. And so we've seen the entire arc of this. And as we're going through the country, one of the storylines that I'm seeing rise to the top is that Trump is unafraid. I've never seen anything like it. He goes, like I said, he goes into the Bronx. It's 86% Dominican and black. Why is Trump going to the Bronx? I'm like, well, because he has a court case and he has to. It's like, he didn't have to do anything. I think the MAGA agenda is an American agenda. He doesn't like any more than I do.
Oh, hold on. Do you think that it's inappropriate for
I'm getting to it.
Donald Trump to talk about, is she black? Is it inappropriate to talk about Kamala Harris going with the mayor?
Okay. I'll speed it up, but I am getting to it. What I'm saying is this is an unafraid man. He went to the Bronx and he gave a speech. No president goes to the Bronx. Trump went to the Libertarian Convention and asked them for their votes. He was being booed and jeered and heckled loudly throughout that entire 42-minute speech. I was there filming it. It was batshit. It was bonkers. When Trump got into his Kamala Black thing, that was at the Black Journalist Convention. Number one, why are we having a Black Journalist Convention? Can't we just be journalists and we're talking about the craft of things? Why is it so exclusionary? Why are they obsessed with dividing and putting the Skittle colors on the table? You have to be over here and there. But he went there. Why would Trump go there? He's not a Black journalist, but he's a guy running for office. He went there and he's at a place called the Black Journalist. It's like, okay, you're choosing to bring this up as an issue. Let's talk about it. The left is obsessed with dividing. They want everything to be, well, are you male or female? This is that type of issue. Are you Black? Are you white? Are you Hispanic? Are you a Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you a Jew? Are you this or that? But the MAGA agenda is an American agenda. It's just a
you got money.
It's an umbrella to go over.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you're saying it's appropriate, right?
They're the ones that keep talking about it.
No, I'm asking
Republicans don't care about the issue.
No, he is saying
hardly. So I think in the scope of what the Democrats are trying to make this campaign into, you need to vote for Kamala. She's a she's a woman of color. It's like, I don't care what anyone looks like or I don't care about genitalia or skin color. I want to know, what are your policies? What is your experience? Show me your accomplishments.
That's what I'm at. That's not what I'm asking
you, and see, do they like you? Like, have you succeeded in things? She doesn't cross any of those things off the list for me. So,
hold on. That is not what I'm asking you.
I'm asking fair game to talk about it.
I'm asking you, do you think that it's justified for them to keep on saying, is she Black? Is it justified to talk about her and Wooly? Who was it? Wooly in San Francisco in the 34. Is that justified? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah. When we've interviewed people that feel it's important, and we've interviewed people that say Kamala is not Black. She everything on her resume, everything she put out there has been, I'm Indian. I'm the first Indian this, first Indian that. Now it's like, oh, now you're from the hood. Did you check out her new accent, by the way? Does that feel legitimate, or does that feel really phony?
All these things
phony to me. And look, she's not African American. We can all agree on that, because her ancestry is Jamaican. That can be Black, but it's not.
Even if she carry hot sauce, I know.
So there's that. And the Indian side, and there were slave owning holdings back in the family line of that family tree, allegedly. Fine. You don't judge a person today based on who other people were. That's the whole weird issue with reparations and a lot of animosity being peddled by Democrats. It's like, people that weren't you did something that wasn't now. So now you need to hate that person for some reason and follow me and donate to my campaign. I'm like, God, you guys are gross. Like, why would you poison a brain that way? But look, I just think it goes to who she is, who she puts herself out to be. Is she being disingenuous? Is it just like Hillary with her bottle of hot sauce in her purse? You just go, you people are the phoniest people.
But we do. We all walk around. I keep my hot sauce in my sock.
I thought you were just happy to have me on the program.
I am.
So no, it's a big nothing burger issue. I don't particularly care about it one way or another. But the point I was making about Trump is he is unafraid to go into every room and cover any single question, 2 hours off the cuff every single day. It's a man. He's the Energizer Bunny. Trump never stops. And some people would wish, Trump, would you shut the front door occasionally and stop talking? Please don't say so much, Trump. You had me on the first 95 things, and what did you get into calling Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig for? Why did we have to go there? That seems unpresidential and uncouth. I can't vote for a guy that's rude occasionally. Yes, you can. You need a boss in the boardroom. You're dealing with a bunch of awful people, but you know what? Trump crossed the DMZ line and met with Kim Jong-un. Oh, he's a Putin puppet. Oh, he loves Kim Jong-un. No, he's kind of trying to tell him, hey, Kim, the deep state, who we hate, and who hates me, they're setting you up to claim you launched a nuclear missile off of one of your vessels. Then they're going to turn your country into a glass factory.
Yes.
Why don't you talk to me and like ease the saber rattling? because we both have buttons. We have big red buttons on our desk. We both do. But guess what? Mine works. That was a legitimate quote about Kim Jong-un. But he went there. He met with them respectfully. The very first question Trump was asked by those black journalists, his response was, look, that was one of the most rude things I've ever been asked. I show up here out of courtesy. You tell me my opponent's going to be here. She's not here. So you lied to me. I'm on time. You guys show up 35 minutes late or whatever time it was with a technical issue. He goes, so right off the bat, this is unprofessional. And that question wasn't a question. I'm here to address you, to talk about what's happening in the country. And I really didn't appreciate how you came out the gate swinging. Yes. He goes into every room aggressively, but politely and respectfully. Yeah. And he'll wave his thing around a little bit and he'll look you in the eye. He might cut you down, give you a little bit of this and that, and he'll toughen up. Maybe he'll say, you know, it might be good for business if you decide to do this other thing, you see. You don't want to be sleeping with the fishes, see? And you know what? He negotiates peace. Things are calmed down. The deep state doesn't get their body bags. Unfortunately, Boeing and Raytheon can't sell as many weapons. But you know what? We got to fix that shit on this planet because America is now the target. These aren't going to be things we look at on the news, like what's happening in Kuwait. What is that in Somalia? What's that in Afghanistan? No, it's going to be, dude, did you see what happened down the block? And that's what the Democrats lit on fire in 2020 with Kamala Harris trying to get this country to burn because they thought it would harm Donald Trump's reelection campaign. These people are freaking sociopaths, and they have to be removed from power immediately. Kamala was raising money for the Minnesota Freedom Fund to bail out the most violent, vicious monsters who were bussed in to destroy the residences where these great American cities. Cops were killed, buildings burned down. You had Kenosha with Kyle Rittenhouse trying to defend his community. Like, that's who the Democrats are. They cannot be allowed to have any control, any power ever again. And that's not an endorsement of Republicans ever. I don't like Republicans either. I like MAGA. I like that philosophy, and this team is so much stronger than that.
Excuse me. Now, Johnny, you got one more question, then I'm going to ask him one more question, and we're going to wrap this up, okay? Go ahead.
I'm pretty much done. That's all I have.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
No, all right. Well, let me ask you one question. What do you make of the chat today? What do you walk away with today? What stands out to you from our conversation? Prophet Johnson.
Oh, well, me, I was interested in the, my viewpoints are primarily spiritual, so I like to hear the secular viewpoints. That's what I'm interested in. So,
So when we got into like this being an actual battle of good and evil playing out on Earth, like that did that resonate with you, or do you maybe not think it's as serious as maybe I do?
I can see how someone sees that. I always talk about stability, right? Because I don't see either party being for good. They're either for themselves or for votes. But, I do see one party as offering more stability than the other. Or one candidate, I should say.
Does that mean that you're leaning Republican, or you've decided you're voting Trump?
I'm not leaning.
I want to tell the audience now, he's taking over the show now. Wait a minute now. Go ahead.
Hey, listen.
I'm reverting back to my natural instincts.
Yeah, I know. but when he get through, then I got questioned, and then that's it. Okay, I had to say that. Go ahead. You got anything else?
No, I'm not leaning. No.
Okay.
I don't think anybody with legitimate brain processing power is undecided.
Okay. You know what? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something very interesting happened yesterday. Somebody sent me a message and said, "Hey, you watching the game?" I'm like, I actually can't watch it here. It's black or whatever. I like, yeah, sure, I'll go watch it there, because you had to be subscribed to Peacock Network to watch the Packers game last night or something. But
yeah, who's watching it?
Yeah, I was having a conversation. I think Jordan Love might have suffered a severe injury on his knee. I hope not, but I think it just came through the wire. He's believed to maybe have had a big knee blowout. But anyway, I was talking to the person, and they actually said, I kind of follow what's going on, but I don't really get into it. And as we talked, this person said, you know what? I actually wasn't. I didn't know what I was going to do in a month or two when I go to vote. I didn't. I've been hearing stuff, and I sort of, but like to that person, they didn't care as much as I do. I care way too much, and they care way too little. So maybe there's some health in the middle if we could balance that out. But by the way, I only care so much because it's so urgent. If everything wasn't flashing big red lights at me, maybe I wouldn't be so passionate. But this person said, I'm voting Trump now. Like we talked about 10 different things, and they jumped on the pirate ship. They're like, you guys are all flawed in your own personal way. Nobody's perfect. You look in the mirror. You're not going to find a perfect human being. But they said, I'm jumping on the Trump pirate ship. I'm doing it. And I'm like, you're actually an undecided voter. I thought you were unicorns. You were leprechauns at the end of the rainbow. You don't exist. Everybody knows what they're voting for. So I would just encourage the both of you to remember what I just said with that conversation that just happened 12 hours ago. There are some undecided people, and maybe a pleasant, respectful conversation about the things that should matter to them could sway some votes over from the dark side to a good side.
Well, I think that the idea of people being undecided, okay. I imagine there could be a few, but I think few or many, it's a sad commentary on where we are, because it says that people are really put off by, either they're completely put off by the whole political scenario, or they just don't care. And both of those are I think kind of sad.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And you know what, man, Brother Brian, I want to thank you for consenting to come on the Underground Railroad podcast. And
thanks for having me. I'm always down to chop it up in a good chat,
Yeah, thank you, brother. And you too, Johnny. And I like to ask you, we've been asking you questions for 2 hours.
I'm like Trump. I will do. Okay. I do shows all the time, and I go way past whatever time, because there's so much to unpack.
Yeah,
like I have more stories to tell. Like there's more points I could.
We're gonna be back. We're gonna network. I hope to come on your show. But we'll
do that. We'll set that up. We'll set that up soon.
Okay, I have been asking you these questions. Is there a particular message that you would like to relay to the people, and they can use this show for case studies to see what we were doing in year 2024 and how our decisions impact your future for people that are looking in the future? There may have been a message that you wanted to say that I didn't give you the opportunity to say, and I would like to give you that time for you.
Well, while I smirk, I came up with a comedic way to answer the question, and I'd lean in like seriously, and I'd say the message I would like to give you is meow 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 meow.
Wow.
So I'd give you that little goofy thing, because I'm working on a stand-up act. I am trying to get out and do my 5-minute set, and I love comedy because it heals the soul. Mm-hmm. Politics destroys the soul. So any chance I get to crack a joke, I'll try. But in dire honesty, we did allude to it briefly, but I try not to live in that realm too long, too often. It's an intense place to be. But I play a game called If I Were a Bad Guy. Mm-hmm. Paul Harvey has a skit, very famous. Do you know this one?
Good day. I know Paul Harvey. Yeah.
Especially Prophet Johnson. Do you know this one? He says, "If I were the devil." Have you ever heard this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I may have.
If as a personal favor to me, could you go on, not this very second, but go on YouTube and play "If I Were the Devil," and he lays out what he would do if he were that guy, and he kind of makes the parallels. Like, this is exactly where we are right now. Both of you, please watch that. It's one of the best things you'll ever hear.
I wrote it down.
If I were a bad guy, I would be working with the top puppeteers globally, and I would be doing what appears to be happening, a controlled demolition of the United States of America.
Yes.
We're seeing it, we're living it, we're feeling it, we know it, but they're gaslighting us. They're just looking into your face and lying over and over about the purple parrot on your shoulder.
Yes.
What is your parrot's name, by the way? Is it Buddy? Did I hear you call him Buddy? Like, these are mentally ill people that they get brainwashed to become their minions. They become their army of angry, yelling, typing, frothing, drooling sycophants. They could be called the brown shirts. They could be called the useful idiots. You can go through history. They always rile up their people through their greed and envy. They have what you want. Go get them.
Yes.
Get them. Go. Meanwhile, all they are, they're the puppeteer with a terrarium. They drop in a scorpion, they drop in a tarantula, and they shake it up. And they sit back and watch the death match that ensues. These are the sycophants, the sociopaths, the criminal cartel that is driving us into the ditch. And it's my contention that we need to do everything we can to fire the people who clearly need to be fired. And we need to put some more competent, more forward-thinking leadership in place to do something positive moving forward. I don't see any track record that the Democrats have the consent of the governed, witnessed by all of the pirate ship of Trump's people that bailed on the Democrats because they've gone bonkers.
Yes.
So my final word is to get people over to vote the right way this time, the correct way. Fire Biden, Harris, but Trump, Elon, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. Put some smart minds, some talented people in office, and let a businessman try to fix this. That's what I'd say to the world.
Will you come back to the Underground Railroad podcast?
Yeah, man. And I'll bring you on for a segment too. We'll figure out what day works. We'll figure it out.
And before you leave, can you please give people, individuals, your contact information and the websites where they can go, and they could go to Patreon to support you? Could you please give that information in your
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that too, because requests come in, donations come in. Thankfully, we're kind of like PBS, sponsored by viewers like you. We don't necessarily send out backpacks, but there's two ways. One is patreon.com/the new American media. The other one is just Venmo. If you like what's happening, it's at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. But yeah, as far as contact, hit us up on a direct message at X at American_media_. And then once again, we're on Facebook with our page. We're on Instagram with the New American Media page. The Spotify has two podcasts of ours. Spotify has two of them, the Agree to Disagree show and the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. YouTube.com/the New American Media. Lots of content. And then Rumble and X are the places you need to find the New American Media. I fully expect to be censored, erased, shadow banned, monetized on Facebook, Meta, Instagram, and YouTube. So find us on Rumble in the new.
What are you doing? If you get banned on Facebook, you that's pretty serious.
Yeah, when you call out the psyops as being incorrect, they don't like that you have a voice. They silence you like they do in every communist, socialist, totalitarian hellscape that we've ever witnessed on Earth. So we got to fight against it. These companies are trash, but I like what Elon's done with X, and I like what they're doing with Rumble.
Oh, Rumble is great.
A YouTube substitute. Switch off of YouTube and go to Rumble.
You know what? I can't get the followers on Rumble. I cannot.
No, but that's fine. But you're going to make money on Rumble.
I know.
YouTube takes it away. They will say you're not allowed to earn a living here because we don't like your message. You're a thorn in our side.
You know the thing about Rumble, you can really, really, really speak your mind on Rumble.
And on X. On X. That's why Brazil is threatening him. That dictator judge who's violating all of his own country's laws after they overthrew the will of the people, allegedly in that country. They're going after Elon. England threatened Elon if he had the interview with Trump a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, there are global tyrants on this board game of Risk. They cannot defeat us because they are trying to. Whether we want an issue, if we don't want violence, we don't want a war, we don't want people bothering us, but they are bothering us. They are fighting a war with us. So you better wake up, pick a side. No vague shades of gray here. Pick a side. It's binary, a 1 or a 0. Pick the Trump pirate ship and send these other guys packing and start fixing. Get Trudeau out of Canada. Fix these countries that are clearly going against the will of their own people. I don't know. I'm going to try to stay positive here. I don't want to take the black pill and be pessimistic. I probably should. I probably should have done that a long time ago. I'd be happier and wealthier. But I feel like in my soul, I have something to say, and I'm going to try to get it out there while they allow us to use this internet, because I think they're going to take away the internet real soon. Because as I was saying, if I were a bad guy, if I were the devil, says Paul Harvey, if I were a bad guy, I know what I'd be doing. I'd put in military-aged males strategically placed across this country, unvetted, armed, funded, ready to go when you snap the power off, and just I'd take this country over if I were a bad guy. But I'm not. Yes. But I think they are, so we better get ready.
Now, what is your telephone number?
Oh, I don't give that out. Okay. Well, ask one of my deep state handlers. They listen to everything I do.
Damn. Well, brother, I want to thank you again for coming on the Underground Railroad podcast. And this is what we do. We have people on our shows, people we agree with, we don't agree with. It doesn't make a difference because everybody has a story to tell. And I'm not a gatekeeper.
Oh, speaking of the story to tell, I'm looking at the top though. You just got to change the title, because from former supporter of Kamala Harris, just say the exact opposite of anything she stands for. I'm that guy. So just retitle that, and I'll be good. I'll be golden.
All right, I'll change it. So, brother, I want to thank you, and man, you know what? Continue your work, and people that are looking at the Underground Railroad podcast, I encourage you to support his platform and to help him at Patreon by making a donation to his platform. Brother, I want to thank you. Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, and also, I'm gonna check out your show, and maybe if you need a spiritual perspective,
you might get a kick if you check out a show. Then maybe you could check out. It's a show that I did with my uncle. He's a pastor, Pastor Bruce Engelman. He's written a book on the Kennedy assassination. He's one of my favorite guests. We go for 3-4 hours. If you can talk the word of God, you can talk all day. But I recently, if you scroll back, maybe within the past month and a half, couple weeks, Pastor Bruce Engelman, we unpack, was there a spiritual component to Trump being saved
sounds familiar.
From televised assassination in Butler, Pennsylvania? And we go into the deep state and everything. So if you check out one show, maybe that one, because it will have a clear spiritual tinge to it, because he's been a pastor his whole life, his adult life.
Okay. Well, brother, I want to thank you. Okay. And then I'm going to sign out and watch the Underground Railroad TV show every Saturday night at 10:30 on CAN TV on Comcast. But this will be on different social media platforms. And we'll share this. And you can use this show. You're looking at this in the future. So you can use this show as a case study to see what was going on between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in year 2024 when you're looking at this in the future. Okay? Thank you. All right? Appreciate it. Peace out. Yeah, Johnny. So, Johnny, there any finishing comments you would like to make, brother?
Yeah, so
let me say this real quick. Everybody support his platform, both of their platforms. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that kind of changes things, because I was coming on expecting to engage with a Harris supporter. Turns out it's a little different. But yeah, I'm happy to come in, and as much as I like to give a spiritual perspective, I'm still interested in people's secular, because perspective and reasons for their political perspective, their political leanings, if you will, because I really don't have a political leaning or hardly a political perspective. My whole perspective is spiritual, so it's it's a learning opportunity for me.
Okay.
I hope to lend or give a spiritual perspective, but it's always a opportunity to to learn. So I appreciate it.
Okay. And like I say, individuals out here, I say it one more time, ya assalamu alaikum. Your peace and blessings be upon you. And like I said, again, support both of their platforms. And where's your platform, Johnny?
Yeah, so I have a couple of channels. I have Truth in Conversation, and then I have the Joyful Sound Truth in Conversation. On the Joyful Sound Truth in Conversation, I am teaching the Word of God, breaking down the scriptures in the various forms, whether it's expository, whether it's explaining a particular scripture, or a particular commandment or judgment. I break those down. But on Truth in Conversation, that channel I have for the primary purpose of addressing community issues, primarily dealing with male-female relationships, which is the building block of community. So I welcome everyone to come on that channel and learn. If you are interested, and which we all should be, in male-female relationships, whether yours is broken, whether you want to build one but you have not, or you're just interested in knowing what it is you're supposed to be doing or have with members of the opposite sex, and not just romantically, but that's, if you're a son, that's regarding relationship with your mom. If you are a uh, having looking to improve your relationship as a daughter with your dad, as a grandson with your grandma. That's what I deal with because it's so important, and I want to contribute to having appropriate relationships with the opposite sex. That's the whole purpose of that particular channel.
And brother, I want to thank you. And time for me to get up and make my salats. And I'm going to thank you, brother. And go to
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. All right. So, assalamu alaikum to everyone and to the people in the United States, Asia, Africa, the UK, Europe, Alaska, all these countries. And like I said, support both of these platforms because, somebody said, why are you telling somebody to support somebody else's platform? Because all of the blessings are not for me. Okay. They will get what is allotted for them. I will get what's allotted for me. And we won't even be talked about probably 2 generations after we leave. So you have to share. Because as Maya Angelou said, if you hold your hand like this, can't nothing come in. Have to share. And we'll leave y'all in the words of Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you. And thank you. And if you enjoyed the broadcast or got something from it, please share it. I'm going to share it on my social media platform. Share it on your social media platform. Assalamu alaikum.